Welcome to Dreaming the Light. I'm Joanna, your guide on this transformative dream journey. In this podcast, we will explore the world of dreams, sleep, and rest, uncovering their remarkable healing potential, even in the most challenging times. Discover practical tools to navigate nightmares, anxiety, and trauma-related sleep issues, as we embark together on a quest to unlock the healing power of your dreams. Welcome everyone. Today I'm having a huge honor and pleasure of talking with Teresa Chiang. She is a best-selling author, a dreamer, international speaker, teacher, and one of my favorite modern mystics. And I would love to talk to her today about how our dreams, our intuition, the connection with our inner psychic can help us during the most difficult times. So welcome, Teresa. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor. And my head is growing bigger and bigger as you gave that lovely introduction. So thank you for that, as we all need that sometimes.
Yes. So maybe we can start with you telling me a little bit about your path to the dreams, to the inner world, the unseen, the mystical, the mysterious.
Well, I was born into a family of psychics and spiritualists, traveling family. I was home educated. And of course, when you grow up in that kind of environment, you know, demonstrations of mediumship, dream decoding, astrology, tarot, energy, vibes, that's what you talk about. So I thought everybody did. I thought that was normal. And then I was lucky enough to be awarded a place at King's College, Cambridge University to read religion, which I'm passionate about, and English, which I'm also passionate about. I love literature and art. And of course, when I went to Cambridge, I realized that not everybody thinks like that or talks like that. And I soon learned to keep quiet about my belief in dreams and astrology, in there being a spirit, we being spiritual beings having a human experience. But I'm very grateful for those academic rigor that Cambridge gave me, as I learned to apply references and resources and to write credible essays, etc., and to dialogue with leading experts in religion and ethics and philosophy, etc. And when I left Cambridge, I was able then to approach publishers with my idea about writing about spirituality. But in the early days, they weren't interested in that. They used me for like health and well-being. So I had to do a lot of ghostwriting and a lot of writing about topics that I wasn't really that thrilled about, but I did it because I wanted to write about spirit. And eventually I kept persisting. I got my dream and I was given the HarperCollins Element Encyclopedia series, which is still in print in paperback form. The Element Encyclopedia of the Psychic World, Element Encyclopedia of Dreams and Birthdays. And then I was offered the opportunity to write angel storybooks. 2 of them went to Sunday Times Top 10. Then I was given the opportunity to talk about heaven and the afterlife. And the publishing industry began to sort of warm to this theme of the unseen. But it wasn't really actually until COVID, the lockdown, when we were so much grief, loss, and death around us, that actually I had a bit of a renaissance, because someone had a Teresa Chiang book lying around somewhere, because I'd written so many, but they were never promoted because publishers weren't that comfortable unless you were a huge celebrity, which I'm not. I'm actually quite retiring. I prefer to be behind my keyboard than to go out there and promote my books. I didn't have much of a social media presence. So I wasn't really very well promoted. But then suddenly in the lockdown, it's like people remembered their dreams. For example, they were waking up, having vivid dream recall. Of course they were, because they were lying in a bit longer and had time to mull and reflect. And the demands of the material world were pressing, but they were kind of on pause. So that lockdown dream phenomenon really is responsible for the rebirth of Teresa Chiang. And along with that, I also decided about 10 years ago to start reaching out to scientists and psychologists, because up until then, I wrote books about belief and true life experiences, my own included. I've had many sort of miraculous encounters, and I just collected these stories together. And I thought that was it. You can't prove what's invisible. You just have to believe. And that's where I left it. But then I began to find out that there were lots of visionary scientists researching this and actually proving that supernormal, mysterious experiences are the norm and not the exception. And I've gone on to collaborate with some of them, neuroscientist Dr. Julian Mossbridge in the Premonition Code, where we talk about the ability to sense the future. I collaborate with IONS, the team of scientists there. It was presenting at their 50th anniversary. So it's just been an evolution really for me of constantly putting out books, and now having the joy of talking to people like yourself who are interested. I do a lot of podcasts now and media. I feel very blessed. And it's the same message though. There's more to this life than meets the eye. At the end of the day, the most important thing is your spirit, your inner well-being. It doesn't matter if you gain the world and lose your soul. So much, many of us focus on the outside in when it needs to be totally turned on its head. Inside out is the only way forward. And I wish this was taught at schools. I wish people could have dream decoding classes at school, meditation classes at school, and an awareness that we don't know everything, that the material, what you can touch and feel, is not all that there is. There is a part of us that's infinite. And if you believe in life after death, which I passionately do because I've met so many people with incredible afterlife experiences, our spirit goes on. And I think whether that's true or not, I don't know. I can't say it's true, but what it does, it gives you hope and it pulls you forward. And anything that gives you hope and makes you feel that life is a glorious miracle and that there's more inside you, for me, is everything. And like you, I want to promote that message that we are more than our bodies and indeed our minds. We are more than that. We are soul, we are spirit, having a human experience. Sorry, long.
Wow, that's perfect. You touched already on so many important things. And one of the things that I really love about your work is that, in fact, you do combine a lot of science with the more spiritual part. And I think it's so amazing because there are so many skeptics out there, which I completely understand. Maybe someone who never, I don't want to say never experienced anything extraordinary. Maybe they haven't noticed that they experienced something extraordinary, can be very, reluctant to look even into those stuff. And the saying, oh, it was just a dream. I just imagined this, or this voice in my head, or like whatever it is. Our society is so used to just completely disregard all those tiny hinges, all this intuition, all the dreams that we have, that we completely disconnected from it. So for me, whether someone gets convinced by their own experience, by scientific research, to the point that we can already explain a lot of things, not all of them, but many, as you know, and the research that you present in your podcast and in your interviews. But I think that there is something about us really going in, as you said, and maybe the COVID and maybe the times where we suffer, when the world is suffering, and we started to question so many things, like what's really important in life when we see the state of our planet right now, all the wars, all the grief, as you said, collective grief and death, and so much unnecessary suffering. There is suddenly the switch that we start to look more and more inside. And then it's really interesting what we can find there if we really open to it. If we really even, start a dream journal, for example. Maybe that's not too woo-woo for some people.
Well, no, it's not. It's the doorway in, actually. Dreamwork. You mentioned skeptics there. And, I love having debates with skeptics because you just give me some time with them to talk about their last dream and they will be surprised what insight it can uncover. But a lot of the time when people are deeply skeptical and like they know that it's all nonsense, you just need to say to them, well, give me proof it's all nonsense. Mm-hmm. They can't either. They can't prove it's real. They can't prove that it's not real.
Real, yeah.
Just as much that we can't prove it is. But what we have is a passionate belief. And we all know now that our brains are predictive, our bodies are predictive, and the power of perspective and belief shapes our lives. That's where science is leading now, that the brain is a predictive force. So pay attention to what you believe. And if you are constantly saying, no, there is no magic, there is no possibility, there is only what I can see and touch. Does it make you happy? 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. It really doesn't. In fact, I would say almost all the time it doesn't. And look at, does this belief make you happy? If it does, fine. That's fine. That's your choice. that's your choice. If that makes you happy, but most of the time it's not. They're utterly miserable because we all have that sense of emptiness sometimes. Is this all there is? I've got the family, I've got the career, I'm even earning a lot of money. And I actually recently went on a podcast, which was the people who were like earning millions. It was incredible. And they all talked to me about when they'd earned their first million and they realized they didn't have to work again.
Yeah.
They had this dip of motivation. And what's the point? And for them, and it was make or break. Because you find with a lot of rich people, either they completely go off the rails into addiction, unhappiness, depression, or they can turn it around. And they realize then that actually it's that inner well-being, that inner peace that matters so much more than what we've devoted our lives to obsessing about. You know, we obsess about ticking all these boxes. But sooner or later, all of us, and it's typically through a bereavement, a life crisis, a failure, a broken heart, a rejection, come to the point when we realize, no, that isn't the meaning of life. The meaning of life is how I react to these challenges and the meaning I find in my suffering. I don't know why bad things happen to good people. I wish I did. I don't know. Maybe in spirit, when I've gone to the next life, I will understand. I'll see the bigger picture where all the loose ends make sense. But right now, here and now, in this life, I don't know. But what I do know is my perspective, my attitude, my reaction is within my control. And that's what I focus on, because that's where the meaning and the purpose for me is going to be found. And finding inner peace and a sense of wholeness from the inside out rather than the outside in. Because when you get that inside out focus, what you find then, yes, things can still go wrong. It's not a magic pill, but you're able to rise above. You're able to have that strength to pull through. And I always say to people, you know, if you feel alone and you're giving up, go and read Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, where he talks about it. How do you find meaning when you are on your knees, treated like you're not human? The people you love have been slaughtered around you. If you think your problems are bad, think about where would you find inner strength? And he managed to. And I think, not saying copy or follow, there's some things in that book I don't agree with, but what I'm saying is it shows that if he could do it at that level of wretchedness, so can you. And it's a tremendous liberating feeling when you are able to make that shift. And it is a shift when you suddenly realize that you are the power, you are the source, you are infinity, you are timeless. And everything you do in this waking reality is kind of making a memory. But don't waste a precious day, because every day makes a memory. You can revisit that memory and it's eternally alive. And in that novel, there are times when he revisits memories of people who've died, but it's enough. The gratitude, the joy, the feeling of love pulls him through. And I guess in various different ways through all the many books I write, whether it be about dreams, whether it be about intuition, or any aspect of mind, body, spirit, personal growth, is trying to help people find inner strength. Because we are, I don't need to sound negative, but we're born alone and we die alone. If your entire happiness is wrapped up in the people in your life, as important as they are, what happens when they go? And they will, change happens all the time. If your entire happiness is wrapped up in your job or what you do or in how you look, that will all pass. The only thing that doesn't change is change. The only thing that I wish all our energy was focused on creating this sense of inner well-being, because then you are unstoppable. You are invincible. And it doesn't matter then when you get rejected and things go wrong, because you think, great, when this is all going wrong because I'm being called to learn and grow. So think about that. When you get rejected, when things go wrong, get excited because you're being called to grow. Sometimes growth hurts, it's uncomfortable. But as I constantly say, all growth happens outside your comfort zone when you're challenged. It just doesn't happen when your life is like Groundhog Day, the same all the time, right? And you're just, everything's going right. There's no growth. We are here to learn and grow. I'm not saying go and court difficulties, not that, but what I'm saying,
Oh, of course.
life will throw it at you anyway. And we all found that it happened to the world during COVID. None of us asked for this. It was all thrown at us, and it was caused tremendous sorrow and pain. But when these things do happen, you think growth, lesson, learning. I'm being called to evolve into a higher version of myself. And that's the greatest feeling, to just, we are spiraling throughout life. And I believe if, in the afterlife, that we continue, the learning and growth continues. It never stops.
Yes, it's so beautiful what you said. And what I find about dream work and inner work and connecting to our inner selves is that it's so empowering. Because what I feel a big problem of our times is that we are attacked from every direction with someone else's opinion. The social media, as much as they're a blessing, there's also another side to it, right? And there's always all these voices, whether it's our family, our managers, our friends, social media, even books we read or teachers we follow. It's so easy to get completely lost in all of this. Even if the intention is good, you can really get lost in it. And I feel that if you connect to your dreams and you learn the language of your dreams and you learn to listen to your intuition, and like so beautifully you describe in the Empower Your Inner Psychic book, it's like when you really walk people through how they can connect to their, as you said, you can call it inner wisdom, higher self, wherever, doesn't matter how you call it. It's like you suddenly can see your path clearer. You suddenly can make decisions that are really aligned with you, and you suddenly feel empowered and not so lost, because it's so overwhelming nowadays.
Oh, there's so much advice, so many gurus, so many teachers. And I have to be careful I don't fall into that trap, because I always say to people, I don't want you to follow or copy me, because that's my path. It's not yours. All I can do is I share my experience and what I've learned along the way. I'm convinced when you go to the afterlife, you won't be asked, well, how well did you follow that intuition boosting program? Or how well did you follow the teachings of said teacher? Or how you will be asked, how true were you to you? And most people actually are terrified that when they look within, they'll find nothing, that they haven't got it. Other people know the answers. We want to follow, we want to copy, want to run after other people, lose our identity in someone else. And you see that happening on the world stage all the time at the moment, with politics, especially, mentioning no names, people losing themselves in a cause. And you can see that they've drunk the Kool-Aid, because they're kind of like, they've got someone else's persona. And what a relief. I don't have to do the hard work. It's so lazy.
Yeah.
It's so lazy, because someone else is telling you what to do. I give this example several years back. It's quite a painful one, about the importance of following your own inner guide. The Twin Towers in America. When the first tower was hit, the people in the second tower were told by the powers that be, stay where you are. We don't want you outside because there's too much mayhem. Stay where you are. Now, that was the voice of authority. However, there were some people whose gut said, I'm getting as far, I'm not going to follow or copy. And they got out of there. They were the ones who survived. The ones who did what they thought was the right thing, sometimes what we think is the right thing, because the voices of authority tell us, is not. And that's why it's so important to pay attention to your gut instinct. I mean, do you really want to carry on sending emails and working when there's like people burning to death in the road? I mean, it's this is a very difficult, sort of delicate. I don't want to offend anybody with that example, but when I heard about it, that they were told to go back to their desks, because they were all moving to get out and evacuate, and they were marched right back up, because nobody thought, oh my goodness, another plane's going to hit the tower. That's a way out example, but time and time again, it happens in our life where we just do what everybody else does. because we can be conditioned to obey the voices of authority. And we should do that. We need to work as a unit, and that's important. But sometimes we do need to also follow our own inner voice. And dreams, you see, dream work gets you more confident in interpreting that inner voice, because a lot of people can't distinguish their inner voice from anxiety or wishful thinking or fantasy. And there are ways, when you start meditating, when you start really looking within, when you start analyzing your dreams over a period of several months and years, you start to understand when that inner voice is talking to you and when that inner voice knows. And when you get to my age, I mean, you're beautiful and young, but when you get to my age, I can look back in my life when my world has gone in the wrong direction. And I can also look back, because I keep a dream record, to the dreams at the time that were trying to warn me, to gut instincts that were warning me, and I blindly ignored them. You can see that one of the great things about getting older is hindsight. Hindsight is your greatest teacher. You can look back in the past when something went wrong and said, I knew it would go wrong. I sensed that. Why did I override it? And I think the more of us could tune into that inner therapist, that inner teacher, we can do it every night in our dreams, understanding our dream symbols and how our dreaming mind basically gives us a scene of our mindset. That's what dreams do. In symbolic language, they show us our current mindset and what that current mindset will attract in our future, because I do think dreams are precognitive. So if you have a dream, for example, that you're falling downstairs, think about what you're doing in your waking life to trip yourself up, right? Think about it, because something in your waking life, if you carry on doing this, you will fall right down the stairs and crash yourself. Not literally, but symbolically. You will experience that because something in your current mindset needs to change in a more positive, empowered direction. So look at your dreams as how they enact your mindset, decode their wonderful meaning, and then think, well, if I carry on thinking, feeling, and acting this way, which my dream is showing me, what future is that going to manifest? And that's why dreams can be potentially precognitive, because they show you the inevitable consequence of your current thoughts. And I find that really fascinating aspect of dream work, and where I'm really investigating even more deeply now. You know, we've all had that experience of a dream playing out, deja reverie.
I think most of us, we just don't remember because we don't pay attention to our dreams.
And it's just a symbol. What it is, it's a feeling that you had in a dream.
Yes.
I mean, the scenario may be different, but you recognize, I felt this in the dream. I've dreamt this situation. I've dreamt this scenario. I've dreamt this experience and my reaction to it. And when you do get a deja reverie, stop, please pause. It's powerful. Usually it'll be about something very, very trivial, like your dream, somebody's worn a necklace that you've never seen before. And then the next day, your colleague's wearing it. And you think, why did I dream about something so boring and nonsensical? It's a PowerPoint, because it's drawing your attention to the present moment, and something that you're doing in your present moment, you need to reflect more deeply on and see what is it, what future is it attracting? It's a PowerPoint for you to course correct.
Yeah, it's so beautiful and it's so true. And I feel that if we just give it a chance, if we give chance to our dreams, as you said, we start to recognize all these symbols, and we kind of also gain this self-confidence in our own wisdom, right? Because if we look into our dreams, as you said, they're like a door to our inner selves, and we start to listen and maybe act on something that happened to the dream, maybe try not to fall down the metaphorical stairs instead, and suddenly see like, oh, I just avoided something not so pleasant happening to me. Oh, I just managed to do something that maybe I wouldn't otherwise. And I feel that it's such a beautiful boost to our self-confidence that, oh, I do it. I don't have to consult a medium or a psychic about it. Like, I actually did it myself. And then from there, I feel like it's really opening to you.
I love the fact that you've mentioned self-confidence here, because I actually am of the firm belief now that being psychic and being self-confident are exactly the same.
Hmm.
I think people who are professional mediums and psychics, they are so confident in their own ability to predict that they're even using that ability to branch out and help others. Because that's one of the great things about spiritual awakening. It is about you and falling in love with yourself. But what happens when you fall in love with yourself is you want everybody else to as well. And there's this natural urge to want to be a healer, a helper, a medium, and psychic. So often it starts with good intentions. But I do think that actually the psychic awakening, spiritual awakening is self-belief. It's self-love. They are interchangeable, in my opinion. When you've got that firm foundation of self-awareness followed by self-love and self-belief, you are psychic because you know what's in your best interests. And you can actually read other people very well because you've done the inner work yourself. So if you get alarmed by words like psychic or medium or anything like that, an oracle or fortune telling, just scrap all that and work on your self-belief, your self-love, and your self-care. Every time you do that, you're growing psychically. And dream work is one way to start that process because you realize how darn interesting you are. I mean, the incredible scenarios we dream up every night. Where did that come from? So interesting. Oh my goodness. I'm Einstein. I'm a genius. Einstein, of course, the great dreamer, theory of relativity in a dream. And, he relied on his dreams for many of his moving the world forward theories.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. It's everything that you just said. It's just what I so much believe in, and the message that I hope the listeners can take from this conversation is that the believing in yourself, in your ability to know what's the best for you, in your ability to connect to your inner selves, to your body, to your soul, to your heart, wherever you want to call it, it can be so profound and powerful and life-changing, especially when you're going through hard times and you are so confused and all the information from outside is just too overwhelming. Look within your dreams, look in your heart, meditate, as you said, and believe that you can make the best choices for yourself.
Perfectly put. And don't get scared by your dreams. They won't make sense. They don't make sense on purpose because the more crazy they are, the more profound the meaning. And think like an artist, think like a poet. That's how your dreams speak to you, through symbols, metaphors, puns, figurative language. You've got to think of every dream you have as a night poem where you go through it line by line and interpret it as if you were interpreting the deeper meaning of a poem. Think of it like that and it suddenly becomes effortless. And if you want help kickstarting that symbolic soul thinking, dream dictionaries can help you do that because they give the universal archetypal meanings. But most important of all is your own personal association. Never mind what my book or anyone else, any so-called dream expert, and I put that in quotation marks, says you are the expert on your own dreams. The best dream book you will ever read is the one you write yourself.
That's just wonderful. Thank you so much, Teresa, for sharing your wisdom and your very, very important point of view. And I hope that it can put some seeds into whoever is listening to this and maybe bring so interesting, vivid, and crazy dream. And yeah, and I love what you said just to finish this up. Like the more crazy the dreams are, the more interested, the more engaging they become, and then maybe we are more drawn to look what's inside them. So could you just say where whoever would like to know more about your work, your books, your beautiful decks that you created can find it?
Well, thank you again, Joanna, for the opportunity to talk to you. You are a light. Thank you. And basically, I'm kind of everywhere, really. I've written too many books. I've lost count. www.teresachiang.com. I'm also on at the Teresa Chiang on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page, author page, and I'm on X. But really, I'm quite prolific. But don't seek me out. Seek yourself out. And if my books can help you do that, that's why I do what I do. I want people to fall in love with their own spirits, because when you do that, everything else is effortless. If you've got your own back, you're going to be okay. you can cope with anything.
Thank you so much. And yes, I hope that everyone will take something from here, because I also truly believe with all my heart, and that's the work I do, is that we all have all the answers to the questions we seek within us.
We do.
Thank you so much, Teresa.
I really hope that you enjoyed this show. If you did, please consider giving it a like and maybe leaving a review. And most importantly, feel free to share it with your family and friends. For more information about my work and projects, you can check out my website www.bluelotusqueendom.com.